Hey everybody, here's the video you guys been waiting for. I got hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of questions that you guys sent me. You messaged me, you sent them on Facebook, YouTube, and because there's so many, I did a couple shorter videos, the one from the White Mountains, the Smoky Mountains, the hammock questions. I kind of grouped up the questions here so it wouldn't take a 6-hour video. I'm going to try to do this in a half hour. As you can see, we're out in the woods in Connecticut, having a little campfire. It's about 25 degrees, staying warm, enjoying the outdoors. My buddy John came out with his camera. Thanks, John. And here we go. All right, first of all, I owe everybody out there an apology. I made that, now that I've looked back at some of the videos, I made it look a lot easier than it was. I'll be honest with you, it was a personal struggle from day to day. When things aren't going fun, you don't really feel like turning that camera on. The weather's bad, you don't feel like turning on a camera. It was a huge physical challenge for me, a mental challenge, and it doesn't really depict a lot of that, but you'll find out when you get out there. So here we go. The most common questions, these are the everyday questions I get. These are questions I get when I'm giving a presentation. These are questions you send. Why do you hike the Appalachian Trail? For me personally, let me step back a little bit. All these answers that I'm going to give you are strictly from my point of view. I'm not speaking as a spokesman or representative of the thru hikers of the Appalachian Trail. This is all my answers. My why was this. I retired a few years ago. I have adult children that are off in the Air Force, and I was a canine officer for years. My dog, my patrol dog, my partner, my best buddy ever, he finally passed on, and I had the freedom, first time in my life, and so I seized the opportunity. I thought it would be fun. I went out, bought a bag, and I started walking. I'm not a backpacker. I wasn't up until this point. When I hit the 16th mile mark, that was officially the longest backpacking trip I ever did. So that was my why. It just seemed like it would be cool, and it was. How? Basically, I just got a ticket down to Atlanta. I looked up the hiker hostel down there. They picked me up. I had to get on a train and meet them somewhere, but they took me down. Basically, from the time they picked me up, they got me to the trailhead, and they did all the work for me. Money, a lot of questions on money. How much did it cost? How much should I budget? You know what? I budgeted like $1,000 a month, but I didn't even come close to that. I had a lot of help from you guys out there sending me boxes and stuff. Probably saved me $1,000. I can't thank you guys enough. I appreciate the fact that everybody wanted to get involved and really help me get through there. And I got to tell you, most of the time when I got a box, it's better than the box that I would have sent myself. So thank you so much. And I can't even tell you, friends from home, people, strangers, Mike out in Arizona. I mean, just people from all over the country, unbelievable. As you can see, I took a lot of notes. I don't want to miss anything. Did I carry a gun? I'm a big, proud, gun-toting American, and I never go anywhere without one. But in this case, I wasn't sure about the laws. And so I left my gun at home. Believe me, of course this is 2016, anything can happen, but in that community I honestly never felt safer. There are some areas on the trail that I consider yellow zones or higher risk areas, and those would be road crossings near communities, towns where if somebody had bad intentions they might do it there. I just avoided those areas. Alright, one of the other big question was, what was the best part? What was the best part of the trail? And I've been asked this by Full Throttle Dave, a friend that I got to know on the trail, and he asked me this question and I answered it, but I'd like to re-answer it, because the best part of the trail are the people. Absolutely. I mean, there's some awesome parts of the trail. I can't even describe the beauty, the challenges of getting over some of those places, the weather. I mean, the best part of the trail, though, are the people. No matter what, no matter how many hours you go without interacting with somebody, you can find people. You're going to meet up with them at water sources. You're going to meet up on the top of the mountains at scenic overlooks. You're going to meet new people at hostels. You're going to meet trail angels all along the way. The community, all the research I did, everything that I did to prepare for this trip, which was all condensed in about a month, I did not see that coming. I was totally unaware of the culture of the trail, and that to me It was the best part of the trail. Even the people that you guys watching this, you're all part of the trail now. I mean, that's the best part. Now, if you want to talk about the best section of the trail, my absolute favorite section was New England. I know that's a long section. Every time I went to Vermont, it was my favorite state. I got it to New Hampshire. I could not believe how unbelievable New Hampshire was. Just I call it larger than life, awe in your face. Picture of the Grand Canyon, you just can't even get a picture of it. It's so awesome. And then we get to Maine and the forest and the backcountry over there was just phenomenal. So that whole part of the trail, the last quarter of the trail was by far the most spectacular. Now, if you took a short section, you said, "Hey Sam, I am. If you were going to hike another part of the trail again because it was so awesome, what would it be? Where can I go for a short hike?" I would say the section between McAfee's Knob, northbound through to Daleville or Troutville. You go through Tinker Cliffs, of course, McAfee's Knob. But the trail is it's pretty easy. I mean, it's kind of strenuous, but in parts, but the payoff is unbelievable. That really sticks in my mind as beauty. We'll get that after. The worst part of the trail. Well, I got to tell you, I don't know if it was worse. If you look at the map, it's the flattest part of the trail, but everybody says Pennsylvania sucks. And I personally, even though I can tell you right now that I enjoyed the whole trip, Pennsylvania was the toughest for me mentally and physically. The rocks, you just can't get a rhythm when you walk in. There's no flat spots to step. At that particular time, I got really sick. I had I don't know what the hell I had. The weather was bad for days on end. It was soaked. I was sick, dehydrated. I lost a ton of weight. At that point, I had lost the most weight that I lost on the trail. I had no energy. So getting through Pennsylvania was a real struggle. I had to really make some effort. After once I hit rock bottom, I was down to like 165 pounds from 210 pounds. And I had to make an effort. Every time I crossed the road, I'd hitchhike to a diner, get a hamburger, go back to the trail. Some days it would take me 3 hours to get off the trail, go get some solid protein somewhere, a steak, and then get back to the trail. But that's what I did. And within, I'd say, 4 weeks, I had regained about 10 pounds. And that put my hike back up on track. I was starting to get the mileage in. I was feeling better. So that was the worst part. It also, Pennsylvania is not scenic. At that portion of the trail, I was between hiking buddies. I hiked with, as you know, one Dusty Pilgrim. I hiked with him in the beginning of the trail. I hiked with Red Hot, who, if you saw the videos, you know him well. I hiked with him in the last part of the trail, but that was a part of the trail that I was hiking by myself, and the whole third. And it just sucked being sick and hiking without somebody encouraging you, and that weather was terrible. Okay, let's talk about the weather. Overall, my hike, I got lucky. We had more good days than bad days. It only takes 10 minutes of a bad day to ruin 2 days, really. The trails get flooded and muddy and everything. But overall, we had more good days than bad days. On the bad days, if I saw a storm coming in and I was dry and I want to stay dry, right before the storm, as soon as it started to sprinkle, I put up my tarp, take a nap for an hour or two, wait till the storm blew through, roll up my tarp and keep hiking. That's how I handled that, and I recommend everybody have a tarp, whether you're camping in a tent, you're a shelter guy or gal, or if you're hammocking. I'm talking fast because I really want to cover all this stuff and I don't want to kill you guys. Let's see, wildlife. We had a lot of wildlife questions. What kind of wildlife? The bears, the snakes, the mice. I saw some pretty cool things like whippoorwills in the middle of the night, porcupines, snapping turtles, salamanders, frogs, slugs, spiders. A lot of spiders. Hey, got to tell you, check your shoes in the morning before you put them on. The spiders seem to really like to crawl in there. I will tell you this, though, as far as the bears and the deer, they don't act like, I'm a big outdoorsman. I do a lot of hunting, fishing, camping out in the woods. Up here in New England, if you glimpse a bear or something, as soon as that bear sees you, they're taking off. On this trail, they're very acclimated to people. They don't act like normal bears. They see you as a food source, a possible food source. They look at you with curiosity. They don't run away. Perfect example, up here in the north, if you stumble on a mama bear and her cubs, she's going to grunt and they're all going to take off. Let's say in the Shenandoahs or something, you stumble on a mama and her cubs, they're going to stand there, and you might end up getting too close, and then you're in trouble. So the wildlife interaction's much different than out in the wild. I would say that's something that I wasn't complete. I was prepared to deal with wildlife, but I had to learn. I had a learning curve there on how to do that. All right, next. Okay, was it crowded? Had a lot of people on the trail. As you know, the whole attitude to the trail is becoming very popular. Hiking, backpacking, backcountry hiking. These movies, the books are out. Everybody's into it now, and that's great for places like REI and stuff. But when you're on the trail, I will tell you, the southern part of that trail is wicked crowded. And when I left in March, there were 80 people a day leaving, and that kind of stinks because nobody's really used to it. A lot of people, a lot of new hikers like me, a lot of people that already are hikers got to deal with people like me. We got to deal with all the experts out there, and it's close. You get to a shelter. A lot of those places too, they're your little camp spots where they have water sources. You're going to cram. I remember one night there was 130 people in one campsite, just literally stacked up on each other, wires over each other's tents, things like that. As you go north, that spreads out. A lot of people dropping out, especially in the first 50 miles or so, and then it thins out as you go north, and you're spreading out. And I will say this though, when you get to a hostel or a viewpoint, or especially them shelters, be prepared to be next to it. The shelter's going to be full. You're going to be camped next to people. The way I dealt with that is I just found a spot in the woods and camped, and I liked it. I liked the privacy. I got good rest. I didn't wake up frustrated or angry. The few times that I did sleep in a shelter in the Smokies, it was just a terrible experience for me. People don't intend to be rude, but when they're reaching into their bag of granola at 3 in the morning because their tummy's rumbling, it's very frustrating. So that's how I dealt with that. Another question John Thompson asked me, he says, how many miles a day did you go? Well, I'll tell you what, it's not about how many miles a day. I mean, you do get focused on that, and I want to tell you, just walk all day. Some days you're going to have 7 miles. Some days I walked all day, man. I just could not even wait to camp. I'd look at my map and I'd be like, whoo, 7 miles, baby. But as you get into hiker shape, your body's getting healthy and strong, and you're losing some weight, and you learn how to get rid of some of that heavy, how to pack your food, and all those things. Just even use your poles if you're not used to using your poles. Your mileage is going to increase, and as your hiker condition gets better, you're going to put the miles on. So overall, I think I probably average 12 or 13 miles a day, but that's taking into consideration some really low days and some really high days. I mean, once you're in a certain condition, there is no limit to the miles. It's how many miles you want to do. I mean, we have days over 25 miles, and we've had days where we spent the morning going into town, getting a diner, having some coffee, a nice breakfast, get back on the trail 11 o'clock, and still did 17 miles. So the miles, they come. It's there. I mean, your body's physically fit. It's how many miles you want to do. How many times I switched my gear? I switched my gear in and out a few times. I got rid of some winter gear, and I put, for instance, I started with an open hammock with an underquilt. I switched that hammock out for a one with an integrated net, and I sent my underquilt home, and I carried up a pad with me, and on the cold nights I used my pad. Sounds backwards. I brought a long thermal top and bottom. I didn't even need a sleeping bag most of the time in the summer. I just had over me or whatever, and on the cold nights I used my pad. You can see more on. I did a video just on hammock gear. How I dealt with that, and but I will say this: people always seem to ask, "Did you have a hard time finding hammock sites?" You never have a hard time finding hammock sites. Look, the woods are like this. You can always find a place. The only time it was difficult was when we were above the Alpine, above the tree line, and maybe the White Mountains, or there were a few really awesome spots on the top of mountains that I wanted to sleep at, but there were no trees, so I elected just to use my poles and put my tarp over that, and I slept on the ground. So if you're a hammock sleeper, don't even worry about it, especially in the south. Oh, there's so many campsites down there. It's awesome. Let's see. I would say, as far as the hammock questions, hammocking is becoming very popular. I would say 1 out of 3 people on the trail are now using hammocks. So it takes a little bit to learn, a little getting used to, but once you go hammock, you rest better, you get a full night's sleep, you're off the ground. There's a million reasons why I could tell you why I love hammocking. All right, let's see. That's 3. I haven't got 1 in the fire yet. All right, supplies. People always ask me about supplies and mail drops. I personally I was prepared for probably 10 supply drops, and I only used, I think, 2. And I got, like I said, I got a lot of help from people, viewers that were sending me boxes. But listen, get your pencil out. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you, this is good advice. All right? It's awesome if you have a support crew, somebody that can adjust your boxes as you need them. If you're getting sick of a certain type of food, or you need some more moleskin sent to you, or whatever the case is, it's great to have somebody at home that can do that for you. However, if you want to set some boxes up, I recommend setting 6 up, and I'll tell you why. Most places you can get whatever you need. These trail towns know what we need, and they're stocking up and supplying, and they're ready for all that stuff. But there's a few towns that I want you to take a note of, and these are the ones you want to send your boxes to. The first one is the NOC. The NOC is not very good. It doesn't have a good resupply, and it's right on the trail. You'll walk straight down into the trail through the NOC. It's the Nantahala Outdoor Center, and if you have a box waiting for you, they're really cool. They'll help you out. They have the box for you, get you sign for it, and you're on your way. Fontana Lodge, second place I would have. It's only a few days after the NOC. That's another place, not a good place to resupply. Make sure you have a box there. So definitely, you definitely want to have one there. Fontana Lodge is a good place to send it. Bland, Virginia, another place, resupply. It's not a good place for resupply. Harper's Ferry, that is an awesome town. There's so much history, so much. You're going to want to stay there, and I recommend go to the Harper's Ferry Hostel. And I don't make too many recommendations on this, but that one's one because Loretta over there, she's an awesome cook. She cooks so much food. The place is clean. The bathrooms are institutionally clean, and that's my Appalachian thumbs up over there. All right, the next one, Caratunk, Maine. I came into Caratunk, Maine. I looked at my thing. It said the place was. The store was open till 10 o'clock. I got to the road around 9 o'clock, hitchhiked in, and the place was closed. I ended up resupplying from Caratunk, Maine, all the way to Munson out of a gas station. Snickers bars, M&Ms. I got some, actually they didn't have jelly. I ended up buying pie filling and some ramen or something. So Caratunk, that's a good place. And lastly would be Munson, Maine. Send a package there. There are resupplies if you got to get a few things. They have really high quality stuff at one of their little stores, a breakfast place, but you're going to pay top dollar. So NOC, Fontana Lodge, Bland, Virginia, Harper's Ferry, Caratunk, Maine, and Munson, Maine. That's 4 misses. We're in New England. You know us New Englanders. We love our Dunkin'. All right, questions on fitness. I know I'm ripping through. Fitness, prep. What's your prep? I had no prep. We had 4 feet of snow here. The day I left, I was happy to get on a plane that could get off the end of the runway. And however, having trained on the trail, this is what I say. Lots of hiking with a pack, a heavy pack, because you're going to be heavier than you think. Go to the gym, get on the stair stepper. Your legs are going to really work in the beginning. This trail is really rugged, and I mean the trail's really nice, but it's a lot of ups and downs and the gaps. Anytime you see the word gap, get ready because you're going all the way down and then all the way back up. Elliptical trainer, get them lungs. I had no idea. I was always an active guy. Always, we played sports and hiked, hunted, and everything. I had no idea what it was like to work my cardio like that. That was amazing. If you even ever in your life had a knee problem, I never had a knee problem. Never ever wore out a knee. I never even considered the word braces. I never had braces on my teeth. I never braced up my tree stand. But let me tell you, if you have even a sliver of doubt, get some knee braces and start wearing them before you need them. They're cheap. You buy a couple over at the CVS pharmacy or whatever. Put them on your knees. I'm telling you, the downhill, especially, this is where I went wrong, is once I got in great shape, I felt like Superman. I was practically running down them hills, banging them knees, and it did me in ultimately. So, let's see. Hike with water too when you're practicing. That really adds. I mean, one liter of water is 2 pounds. If you can hike 10 miles a day with a pack on before you start the trail, you'll be in really good. You'll be really prepared to start hiking on this trail. All right, my nutrition. What about my nutrition? It took me a while to figure out my nutrition. I overpacked on food. I didn't always get the right things. As I started really losing weight, like I told you in Pennsylvania, I really had to concentrate on getting nutrition. At that lowest point, I basically stopped cooking hot and went to protein powders, peanut butter and jelly, and hitchhiking in for any sort of protein I could get off the grill. I would go 10 miles for a big greasy breakfast with eggs and bacon and sausage. But that protein powder was really what pulled me out of my funk. So if you have to, make some changes on your diet. Do whatever you have to do to get you to the end. And that's what I had to do. I had to hit that protein powder quite a bit. And there are a lot of experts on the trail, a lot of people that are really into nutrition. So I had a lot of guidance as to what to look for and stuff. So my deal is on nutrition. I didn't know nothing. Started out hiking. Found a need to change my diet, and that's what I did. After I gained my weight back, I was feeling good, and then I could ease up a little bit on the proteins and stuff. So that's my answer to that. I started out with a hot diet, hot meals. I was cooking. I was actually using an alcohol stove until I switched over to jet boil, and then once I strained my knees, I lightened up my pack. I sent everything home I could, my stove, everything. And then I went cold for a while. That's when I went too far down on my weight and energy. That's when I switched over to powder. That's when I started really spending a lot of time off the trail. That's why I say don't worry about the mileage. I spent a lot of time going off the trail. I walked 8 miles to take a picture of a monument in Bennington for the video, and got back on the trail, and I still did it in under 6 months. So don't worry about the mileage. A lot of shelter questions. They're all going to be full. I mean, I remember one night Dusty and I came to a shelter, and there was only one other person. I still camped, but that's the only night I can remember him being able to have that shelter to himself. Believe it or not, you'll get used to the snoring and the burping and the farting and all that stuff, but I would start out with some earplugs. There's no modesty in them shelters. If you got to change your clothes or whatever, you don't expect everybody's going to be modest. Most people, honestly, are so nice. They'll make room for you. You drop something, they'll pick it up. If you're up on the top, people overall are very nice. It's the people that don't realize they're irritating you. They don't do it intentionally. Those are the ones that drive me crazy. Certain things like people taking up more space than they need. They not want to push over or whatever. They smoke inside. They're munching in the middle of the night. They're up at 4:30 in the morning, cooking, clanging and stuff. That's the stuff they don't even realize they're doing it. Or if they do, they don't care. But those are the types of things. The other things I don't like about the shelter is there's high chance of sharing germs. Somebody's coughing next to you. Somebody's got whatever norovirus or whatever you call it, neurovirus. That's the stuff that creeps me out. Plus, it's filled with vermin. I mean, I remember I wasn't even in a shelter. I was in an area of a shelter, and I heard some crinkling, and there was a mouse running across the underneath my tarp with somebody's Snickers wrapper. Talked about the money a little bit. If you plan on staying on hostels, you can run that trip pretty reasonable. I did have that video project I was working on, so I did have to go where the Wi-Fi was. So occasionally, I would stay at a hotel or motel and use their Wi-Fi. That jacked up my expenses a little bit, but you can do this. I didn't spend a lot of time. I didn't go out to restaurants a lot. Occasionally go out for, like I said, the meals for nutrition, but I didn't spend a lot of money. You can blow a lot of money on beer and stuff. So if your mom is at home and she wants to send your box, or Uncle Charlie, or Aunt Rose, let them send your box. It's going to carry you a long way. Beware too when you get into them towns. You could get caught in the vortex, and you're there for longer than you want. All right, so I'm going to switch batteries, and we're going to continue this. All right, where we leave off? Oh, I said something about the vortex. The vortex is when you get into a town, you get comfy, and you're having fun, and you're running into fun people, and you're going out and partying and hanging out, and you stay an extra day, and then an extra day, and then that's the vortex. So be careful of that. Also, as far as money goes, you're going to need extra gear. You're going to wear out shoes. I think I went through 4. I was on my 5th pair of shoes when I ended up. I got sick. I had a wicked, I don't know what it was, but I ended up having to go to the doctor, get prescription. I also got really bad poison ivy on my feet. I was so bad. It was like awful. I had to go to the doctors for that. So if you're gonna send anything home, that postage is gonna cost you. People ask, how'd you carry your money? I carried my debit card, and I usually carried about $50 with me. I didn't want to get to a town and miss a pancake breakfast or something because I didn't have cash on me. I didn't want to run to an ATM. I also like to tip people, so every time a shuttle driver or something did a good job, I always had tip money for them. So that's basically how I handled that. And the more you prepare, the less money you're going to spend on this trip. I mean, Red Hot, he dehydrated meals for a full year. He had 180 dehydrated meals. He spent very little on food and resupplies. I, on the other hand, was less prepared, and I relied a little bit more on resupplying and food boxes. All right, Tom Wolf. You ask what everybody asks. How did you record this whole thing? Don't worry, I'm sitting down again. I recorded the whole thing on my Samsung Galaxy 5. I put it on a stick pick. In fact, my thing's so scratched up now I can barely see the numbers. But I carried the whole thing. I downloaded an app and edited it while I was laying in my hammock. When I would get into town, I would go to either a library, a public library with Wi-Fi, or if it was late and the libraries were closed, I would rent a room at a hotel or something and use their Wi-Fi. A lot of times their Wi-Fi sucked, so I ended up sitting in the lobby till 2 in the morning using their bogged down computer, and then getting 3 or 4 hours of sleep, getting up and then hitting the trail. So that was an expense that I had to deal with. But the more people that were following and getting into this trip, I want to make sure those videos kept coming. And some of them downloads took hours. Oh, here's a little tip for you. If you're going on there on the trail and you're looking for the right provider for your cell service, definitely go with Verizon. Verizon had excellent service throughout most of the trail. Secondly, being AT&T, which was probably half as good as Verizon or less, and then all those other ones, forget it. T-Mobile, Sprint, forget it. Forget it. So that's my tip on that. Hey, Ghost Man, he asked me, how'd you shave your head on that whole trail? I carried a razor blade the whole time, and every now and then I'd get a new one and replace it. But sometimes I do it in McDonald's bathroom. Most of the time I do it at a hostel or hotel, but that's how I shave my head. I didn't shave in the Brooks or anything like that, if that's what you were wondering. Funny question. All right, what would I do differently? All right, I would pack lighter. I'd wear a knee brace from the beginning. I would slow down and enjoy, especially that last month. You're anxious to get to the finish. You've been on the trail a long time, but that's probably the most beautiful section of the trail. And by then you're in awesome hiking condition. You're practically running down the trails. I would change that. I would slow down. That's my recommendation to you guys. I would take a couple more zeros. I didn't take a lot of zeros. I wanted to stay on the trail. Certainly when I got closer to home, I had a lot of friends and my co-workers that I was friends with for years. My buddies would come out to the trail. They'd take me out for breakfast. A couple times they'd take me home and really treat me like a rock star. That was awesome. I can't tell you how much it meant to me. And however, if I was to do it again, I think I would do that a couple more times. That really is unbelievable to get your mind off the trail. The few times that I did take some zeros, I put too much pressure to get back on the trail. I didn't enjoy it as much. So that's something I would recommend. Also, I would get onto the trail in better shape. I did struggle in the beginning. It was torture. So that's something that I would change also. And pay attention to this one. This is a big one. Take the descents slower. Man, I tell you, I was hop skipping down there like a little kid, man. I was having so much fun blowing down them hills, but in the long run, I'm paying for it. I'm paying for it today. Both my knees are shot, so take those descents nice and easy. Take your time, enjoy them, but don't put that pressure. I would change that about my actual hiking, but those are the things I would do differently. How'd you deal with your relationships at home? Well, unfortunately, my long-term relationship, did not survive the trip. So I don't know how you guys want to deal with it, but I would change a few things on that too. However, let's go to the next question. Effects on the body. I lost at one point over 50 pounds of weight. The amazing thing about the human body, it evolved. It literally evolved to the task at hand. I compare it, and don't be offended, ladies, I compare this to a woman who's pregnant. Her whole body changes to accomplish that task. It changes, it uses nutrition differently, body parts change in preparation of this child. Appetite increases, the parts of your body are working harder than other parts of your body. That's similar to what's happening on a hiker. I lost a lot of upper body strength and size. I worked my whole life trying to be a big tough prison guard, pumping iron and everything, keep that weight on. As soon as my body changed to a different task, it molded itself. My legs became a lot more defined, and the strength in my legs increased. My stamina and my conditioning increased. It was amazing, the transformation. However, I had some injuries. I had a partial tear in my Achilles. That bothered me for a long time. I had to adjust the way I put that foot down, and I carried that right through. It's not so much a problem now. I'm not stressing it out, but every now and then it still clicks. Of course, I told you about the knees. I took a really bad fall in Vermont. If you guys are familiar with the trail, when you're coming down toward Bennington, it's like a half a mile descent, really rugged, really steep, and I took a tumble down there. It was probably one of my better tumbles, and I tore my lower abdomen. I got a hernia from that. I got poison ivy, which I had to go to the hospital for. I dislocated or did something in my finger, and I had a respiratory infection. So those are all things that happen on the trail. You just got to deal with it and keep going. I mean, there was times I couldn't film for almost a week because I couldn't talk without coughing. What was my pack weight? Hey, when I started, it was in the high 40s. When I hurt my knee, I gutted it out. I was in the high 20s. From those two extremes, I probably rode mid-30s the whole way. I mean, not a light pack, but it was light enough. How do I clean my pot? What I do is I cook my meal, After I was done eating, I put some water in it, stir it, clean all the sides, get all the rice, mashed potatoes, whatever, and then I drink it, and then I take baby wipes and clean out the pot. I wouldn't throw anything on the ground, nothing in the stream. I never clean my pots in the stream, and because my thinking was, if you're filtering the water in the stream, and then you wash your pot in the stream, then you go to use your pot's contaminated. So I stayed away from that the whole trip. All right, did I ever get the trail blues? No, I never got Colin Shepard. Nylock, he asked me that. No, I mean, honestly, the only time I really was down in the dumps was when I was sick in Pennsylvania. Otherwise, the trail blues never really affected me. Of course, there's good days and bad days out there, but I never got in a rut that I couldn't get out of. It seemed like every time I was really down, something great would happen. Like that time in Pennsylvania. I was at my wit's end, and I was struggling just to get 10 miles. I ran into Forever, who was another hiker on the trail. We hiked together for a few days, and with that company and talking back and forth and camping together and stuff, it totally pulled me out of whatever funk that might have been, and I was good to go. In fact, hi Forever. Okay, so what was my start time? Doug Bissell asked me. Doug Bussell. Would I change it or change the same? Leave it the same. I would leave it the same. Mid-March was awesome. The weather cleared up, and we had some real cold days. Our water bottles froze some nights. We had some snow up in the Smokies. It was pretty miserable, but any earlier wouldn't have worked. The weather was horrible. Like, in fact, now that I see some of the other hikers' videos, I see how miserable it could have been. And any later, and you know, I don't know. I don't. Going later wouldn't have hurt me, but it wouldn't have benefited me. So I would go the same time. Now that so many people on the trail, you know, I'd have to, you know, do a little research, reconsider it. But for that year, for me, that was perfect. Did I plan my mileage? Sure, everybody starts out and they think they're going to do so many miles a day. But very, very quickly, I mean, within days, I said, you know what? I'm not going to plan this hike. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm just going to take my time. So, like I said, you start out really slow. As your body tells you, you pick up the miles, and ultimately you do as many miles as you want, whatever you decide. All right, let's see. Those are most. I mean, the majority of questions. A lot of other questions out there. Feel free to, you know, keep sending me questions if you want them answered. That's what worked for me. I will say this, another question that was asked, did you go by yourself? Did you go with anybody? I went by myself. Early on, I met Dusty Pilgrim. We hiked together for a few hundred miles, had a great time, and then he had to get off the trail. I hiked by myself all the way up till Connecticut, northern Connecticut. Met up with Red Hot, who I'd known since Tennessee from crossing bumping paths, and then I hiked with him through the end. And so you're never alone out there. I would say that your safety level is you're pretty safe out there. Enjoy your hike. Those are the answers to your question. I just want to give a shout out to everybody going out this year. Hopefully this video was out early enough that you could see it. And all those people that helped out on the trail, I got a little video coming on that, so I haven't forgotten you. But I love Trail Angels, and thank every one of you guys out there. And now, one other thing before I sign off is I'm actually heading down south. I should be on the road by May 1st, heading down to Damascus. Hope to see a bunch of you guys down there. But in the meantime, if you see a green pickup with a green cap, flag me down. I'll give you a ride. We're going to do some paying it back. I'm going to pay it forward. A lot of people helped me on that trail. It started out as the Trail Angels, now become friends, and I'm hoping to pay it forward and take care of some of you guys out there. So looking forward to meeting some of you guys. Keep them comments coming. Keep sharing. Keep subscribing, and we're out.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about campfires? Are we allowed to have them?
Question on campfires. Most areas, unless it's post, you can have campfire. I made one campfire on the whole trip. Red Hot was big on campfires, but you'll see there's almost everywhere you go where you're going to set up, somebody will have already built one. You know, there'll be rocks and set up. So campfires are Massachusetts, I think there's no, or Connecticut, there's no campfire rule, but it's pretty well posted.